Yes.
So briefly, can you describe UCCS 8 and what the impacts are for those who have investments? You posted about
Oh,
it.
yes, the Uniform Code, or the Uniform Commercial Code. Sure. All right. There are several states that have, I think there's about 4 or 5 of them now that have moved legislation at the state level to amend the Uniform Commercial Code. And if you don't understand, this was done back in 1994 at a federal level, and it was kind of haphazardly adopted by the states under the guise of protecting personal property, okay? It was sold to us under those guidelines. However, I believe it's Section 8, if I'm remembering correctly, there are 3 exemptions in there that essentially reverse those protections. Meaning that just because you're the beneficiary of any property, whether it be your house, whether it be your car, or whether it be stocks, bonds, or other investments, that doesn't necessarily mean you own them. That's in law. So property theft can actually happen because the creditors get first rights over the beneficiary. We need to remove those exemptions. I'm not saying creditors are not important. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to a portion if there is still money owed on that. But the creditor does not get first property right bids over the beneficiary who initiated the action. That needs to be done under due process in the law, the way it's supposed to be done. So does that answer your question?
Well, and yeah, generally, and I know it's a huge subject.
It's a very complicated.
Yeah, and I'm okay with, a house or a car having a lien from the institution.
Sure.
The most concerning part is, like, in the financial crisis of 2008, when Lehman went under, and then investors lost their money because it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it was under the guise of the institution, but the person who had that investment, being the individual investor, that money technically was not mine, and it got sucked up into the bankruptcy.
That is
correct.
That is correct. So your 401k or your investment model, your IRA, your Roth, whatever it might be, even though you're the one who initiated that action and put that investment in, you're not the first one who gets paid in a crisis. That needs to change.
So what's the momentum? What's the momentum behind that in Georgia?
We could ask our state rep here. I don't know. I haven't heard any talk about it at the state level.
Because you're the only one that I've ever heard talk about that. And I think that that affects anyone and everyone that has an IRA, a 401k, any sort of investment.
That's correct.
That's huge.
So I would be in full support of aligning myself with the other states that have carved out. You're not eliminating the commercial code, okay? There's a reason why the commercial code was put there, is to put rules in place so that everyone has due process. But the exceptions that were added underneath that negate the first purpose, which was the title of Article 8 of that Uniform Code. So essentially, they took Article 8, or Section 8, and they eliminated through exemptions. So it doesn't mean anything, right? So I would be in support of looking at legislation to carve out those exemptions, to put it back in the beneficiary's hands and let the courts do probate or whatever it is that needs to happen in order to satisfy that through due process.
Right, because if you put money away for 30, 35, 40 years, and you sacrifice, and then your money gets sucked up because Fidelity, Schwab, whomever goes under, and then you lose your life savings.
Or worse yet, BlackRock.
Sure,
you know,
yeah, any of them.
And I don't know what movement is done at the state level right now, but I would be completely in favor of divesting every state pension fund from anything dealing with DEI or anything dealing with ESG. Investments need to be under their fiduciary responsibility to maximize profits for the person they're for, and that's the only reason. Take politics out of our pensions.